Picture this, you want to move to Italy. You're excited, you're optimistic, you're full of enthusiasm, and you decide to turn to an online community of people who, let's face it, should be able to help and advise you, because guess what? They are currently living your dream. They are expats living in Italy. So you turn to this community of people in this particular expat group with a question relating to a very, very important, essential aspect of life here in Italy, namely employment. And you ask the question, how do I find a job in Italy? Oh yes, this is a question that is asked on a frequent basis, and I see so many different responses in different expat groups, all of which shall remain nameless for the purpose of this video. And it was this particular post, which is actually a real life post that I read from somebody, that inspired the idea behind this video, because this particular post from this person gained 81 responses. I would say 80% of those responses were negative or sarcastic by nature. One such response really stood out for me, and I think highlights what is essentially the biggest myth in Italy, and it is this: lots of Italians have great difficulty finding a job, so the market is full. I want to repeat, because this is a real life comment from somebody who chose to reply to this person's question about work. Lots of Italians have great difficulty finding a job, so the market is full. This, my friends, is what we're talking about in today's video, because this is not an isolated comment. Apart from the sarcastic good luck comments that also followed on this post, and a separate visa debate, because the person who wrote this particular post was from a non-EU country, the vibe overall was that it's a hopeless cause and you're never going to be able to succeed. Now, just addressing the visa issue briefly, I moved here personally from the UK in 2018. Pre-Brexit, I didn't need a visa. Now, unfortunately, in my opinion, the UK is no longer part of the EU. So now you will need a visa, even if you are coming from the UK, in the same way as if you're coming from America or Canada or any other country that is not linked to the EU. So for myself personally, I don't have a lot of experience around visas because it's not something that I've had to deal with. However, I know that there can be a lot of misleading and conflicting information on the internet, and it can be difficult, especially if you talk about this in expat groups, because everybody seems to have a different opinion as to what is fact and what is fiction. So I'm working on something. It's very early doors. I haven't quite confirmed everything yet, but I'm really hoping that in these next couple of days, I will be able to confirm what it is I'm working on, that will hopefully give you some more information about this whole visa process. So if you follow my channel, or you know somebody who's considering moving to Italy from a non-EU country, get them to follow my channel, get them to subscribe, and in these days, in the comments below on this video, I will update you if, hopefully when, I've got it confirmed, because I think it's about time that we address this issue on my channel, and I want to speak to somebody who can give you the information that you deserve to know and can help you. So stay tuned for more information about that. But taking it back to this particular Facebook post, the amount of negativity that I witnessed on this post is something that has been a recurrent theme for the near 4 years that I've lived here, and even some of the negativity that I faced when I too, 4 years ago, turned to one of these expat groups to inquire about the employment situation. Because there is a bit of a caveat, which I'm going to address, obviously, in the sense that the world is in a difficult place at the moment. We've obviously got countries at war. We have the pandemic that, even though we're kind of out the other side, we are still reverberating from the effects of what has been a 2-year situation. And, you know, it's had a knock-on effect on the economy, on different sectors. So for this, of course, this is going to impact employment opportunities and the situation, but not just in Italy, everywhere, not just Italy. This is something I've got to highlight. These negative experiences are being felt all around the world, and also language. If you're moving to Italy and you don't speak Italian, then of course you must understand that with that comes a more limited range of jobs that you can do. So with those two things in mind, here is why I think that saying that there isn't any work in Italy is a huge myth. I say personally, from my own personal experience, having worked in Italy from the minute I stepped off the plane in August 2018 to the current day, and I chose to go into teaching because for me personally, it was about choosing a profession that would be practical for me to do because, of course, my Italian is pretty much non-existent as we speak. And I wanted to do something that I would find fulfilling and would enable me to start to understand life in Italy, start to get to grips with different traditions and cultures, and really start to feel integrated in the community. So that was my reason and rationale for choosing teaching. And I've recorded lots of other videos about working here, including this one here where I talk about what it's really like to teach in Italy. Also this one here where I share some work differences between the UK and Italy. And a bit of an older video, but always a bit of a goodie, is this video here where I share the 5 things that I did to secure my work here. So you can find all of these in the playlist just up here. But it's an important topic that I wanted to address because I think you can easily listen to this negativity from other people, and it is consistently repeated to so many different people who are eager and keen and enthusiastic to want to move here. The situation is there are jobs here. There are people who are employing people here. But of course, as I mentioned in my caveat, what you can bring to the table is equally as important. If you cannot speak Italian, then yes, you have to come to terms with the fact that your job opportunities are going to be limited. That's just the fact of life. If you are coming here and you want to work in a particular sector, for example, agriculture, I don't know, something where, it's been heavily impacted at the moment because of the situation in Ukraine, you have to think, okay, like what are the prospects of me being employed at this particular moment in time? Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that, there are definitely going to be limitations based on world events that are just simply out of your control. But there are things that you can do to put yourself out there and to connect with people, because there are jobs here in Italy. I'm not the only expat living in Italy that's employed. There are many other expats who are, and it isn't just through teaching that expats find employment. Some open up partativas and go through the self-employment route and do freelance work. There are so many different opportunities available to you, but you have to understand what you are willing to do, and you have to also accept that what you start off doing may not be what exactly the perfect job, but it's a stepping stone. Everything is a stepping stone, particularly if you're working in another country. So I want to say from my personal experience, this is why I'm recording this video. I'm living proof that all of that nonsense simply isn't true. It's a convenient excuse for people to keep bantering this information around when it doesn't actually have any real substance to it. Employers are recruiting. Look on any of these employment sites to see for yourself that people are recruiting for work. And of course, I'm not saying it's going to be the most well-paid job that you've ever had in your life, but hey, you've got to begin somewhere, right? This is the important thing. You can't expect to move to another country and immediately waltz into the highest paid job that the country has to offer. You have to take your time, work your way up. You're building your life from scratch essentially when you change countries. So this is something very important to consider, but here are some things that I would suggest that you also do to improve your prospects of finding work here in Italy. The first is quite simply utilize LinkedIn. If you don't already have a professional profile on LinkedIn, create one. Start connecting with Italian companies. Start creating your profile on LinkedIn to advertise your skill set and services, and think of ways that they could benefit an Italian company depending on your sector. Start to promote yourself, start to form those connections. You can also do this through expat groups, but as I've mentioned, you have to be careful because in these expat groups are a lot of people who have had some negative experiences and unfortunately are not going to be full of optimism and joy for your adventure. So you need to use those expat groups to your advantage. By all means, form the connections where you can, but also try not to pay too much attention to those people who aren't as supportive about your idea as you had hoped. So these are some good places that you can begin to form connections. As I've mentioned in It Feels Like pretty much all of my videos, Italy is a country where connections are at the heart and soul of everything that you do. And so I can only say the more that you can try to form those connections, even if they are in a virtual capacity in the beginning, you will start to gain some traction and some momentum, and that is how you start to open yourself up to the opportunities, because positions, some vacancies are not advertised in normal means. They're not advertised on one of the employment sites that I showed you before. They are simply advertised locally through word of mouth, through somebody knowing somebody who knows somebody else. That is how a lot of work here, especially in the South, is advertised. So for this reason, the more connections you can form early on, the better it is for you. The second thing I would say is just be proactive. Send all the emails that you can send your CV, Google, love Google. Google jobs in your language in Italy. Understand what skills you have, how you can apply them to the work situation here. See what you can do to learn from other people's experiences. Go on YouTube, Google people's experiences of working in Italy. See the types of work that they do. Is it something that you could do? Learn from other people. Of course, this could go one of two ways, because you could equally have someone who has had a negative experience as well as someone who has had a positive one. But equally, even through somebody else's perceived failures, there is a lesson that you can learn. So I think that there is no harm in hearing other people's stories about their experiences, but always remembering that you have the complete power to write your own story. You are not subject to the same narrative. So that's something that is very important to consider. Something else I would say as well to bear in mind is that finding work is a job all by itself. It doesn't matter what country you're in, you've got to put the effort in if you want to gain some sort of reward out of it. So you have to be working and dedicating a good amount of time every day to approaching companies, to sending emails, to cultivating your LinkedIn profile, to connecting with people in expat groups. It's one of those things. The work will never come to you. You have to put the effort in. And yes, it feels like you are working to find work, but you know, that's how it is sometimes. It's rewarding in the end when you find it, but it's not necessarily handed to you on a plate from the very beginning. You have to put the effort in first before you see the outcome. These are just some important things that I would say if you're thinking of working in Italy, you need to consider. Please don't buy into the myth that there is no work here. I hope I have demonstrated through this video that it's a complete myth. It's very much skill dependent. It's very much dependent on what part of Italy you live in. Yes, there are always exceptions. But the fact is, there are jobs here in Italy. We are not a country without work. And all the people that want to tell you that they can't find a job, I can't speak for their personal experiences, but maybe there are other underlying factors that point towards why they are not employed that may not be anything that could impact you or limit you. So I hope this video has helped. Please consider subscribing, link to my other videos, and I will see you soon. Ciao, ciao.